Alright, we're back and we're gonna go take part in the trial. The reason why I let it go earlier is because it's this one might be long, so let's go. Okay.
Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial.
Alright.
When last we left off, Mr. Lyney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
Let's hear it, Farina.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Lyney's perspective.
Alright, based on the opposition's account of events, you can identify loopholes in their statement. Alright. His evidence includes obtained during the reviewed any erroneous assertions of fact and replace them with new references, new inferences. Usual refutations to convince the audience and obtain more support from the people in order to display such just clearly. If you find incorrect content, you can complete the cycle and reveal the truth. Alright.
As the countdown began, he entered the tunnel.
Okay.
When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound.
No.
Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her.
No.
At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Lyney red-handed.
No.
So Lyney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Lyney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the devices such that Cowell's death would be ruled an accident.
Alright.
And there you have it. That's the truth behind what happened.
Only you don't know the truth. I
Does
do.
the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description of the events?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. What Lyney experienced and what he saw.
Right. No, he did.
According to Lyney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Halsey.
Okay, so it's either one of these.
Lyney went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth.
Okay.
Lyney did not take part in the underground altercation. He only witnessed traces of the aftermath.
Attention! Ace Detective Paimon has something to say!
Paimon, you're not Phoenix Wright.
When the countdown started, Lyney did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the and the accident happened from his point of view. Therefore, he's innocent. Paimon did it! Paimon actually managed to say all that! Wasn't it awesome?
In other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
Don't put words in my mouth, Farina.
That's right!
Oh no. Moreover, I believe my opposition's reasoning is flawed.
My reasoning?
The onstage Yukun was clearly tampered with in a premeditated fashion. However, you say that Cal bumped into Lyney by chance.
If that's the case, then if Cal hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Lyney only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine. They've managed to turn things around.
Thanks, Navia.
Well, your denial is very strident. I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims?
Do you remember how you refuted Lyney's alibi initially?
Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box the whole time, how could he have not heard that sound? Why'd you ask? You're saying that he wasn't?
Your claim has now become my weapon. The claim has also become a critical clue. Alright. Enrich with missing lady's identity. Yeah. Alright. Let's take a look at this stuff here real quick. Alright.
That's right! Lyney wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear anything strange during the performance. This means that when the crime happened, Lyney had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof! How do you like that?
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Lyney who committed the crimes, then who was it?
The murderer was? Something your icons in your base. In your base, check out the corresponding case questions. Okay. Alright. The Guard Invasion report that sees the fireworks released near the end of the show ignited and burned through the rope span of water tank above the stage. This caused the water tank to fall and kill Cal in the box below. He was no longer under suspicion. The only member of the troop would have been able to tamper the rope and props. Lyney gave a detailed account of how the trick was supposed to work by using a box inside a box. The idea was for the box to contain the audience member to be transported across the tunnel underneath, via the tunnel underneath, and Lyney himself would also use the tunnel to get to the other side. Having changed her outfit, Lynette and her assistant would take charge of onstage interactions. The clothes belonging to Halsey, the lady who went missing, were found in the tunnel. The reason for this remains unknown.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Or did she have her own scheme all along? Could there have been a third person involved? Is that really a possibility?
Hypothesis incorrect, okay.
The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. He would have been... Halsey is the missing person and an The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney...
That can't be right. Are you serious? The killer was, in fact, Cowell, the deceased!
Oh, is that so? How interesting! Let's hear your reasoning then.
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be perpetrator to victim.
Alright, let's see what this says.
No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. So, where would the criminal have wanted to take Halsey? The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, there must have been some fear that she would attract attention. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lyney as well. Lyney was not in the tunnel at... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. No one entered or left the opera house. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between them. It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. The deceased's name is Cowell.
Hypothesis incorrect.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The deceased's name is Cowell. No one entered or left the opera.
Okay. Okay, it's gotta be.
Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from a... It would have been tough for both people.
Okay.
Halsey's clothing was in the...
Oh, man. So the methods of Fontain's manufacturing must have been in a position to easily modify the equipment. Leaving aside how he died, Cal had all the means to commit the crime at his disposal. There's no likelihood instead of Cal and Halsey struggling. For 1 minute, this could have been given to Cal being Halsey out of that magic box in the audience stands. But according to the guard's testimony, no one entered or left the opera house, so even if he had taken her, there would be no means of exiting. Exiting from the box would be in full view of the audience, pretty much guaranteeing that they would be discovered.
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring things out?
Where did Halsey go?
I see how it is. So this was all just a bluff. And here I thought you had something to show for it. But it seems you're still far from the truth.
Look,
Since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utterly different from the magician's initial design.
If only we knew how Halsey disappeared.
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them seem very likely. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Magic. Escaping from the water tank. Wait. Could it have been the water?
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents. But do you not see that the crowd is growing impatient? There is no greater sin in this opera house than an awkward delay in the performance.
Uh-oh.
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Hold on a second.
Lyney was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the criminal. The deceased's name is Cowell, Lyney's assistant. He would have been able to tamper with the equipment. The vase was not broken by chance. It was used to cover important evidence. The water.
Bingo.
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes behind. If there's a similar method where a person could be transformed into water...
Oh, just a moment, please. I do hope you know how preposterous you sound at the moment. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here, not some magic trick.
I request that we examine Cal's personal effects. We're gonna find something there.
Must we really? I should think that of anyone. Your friend Lyney already knows this truth very well. Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real. We're talking about 2 completely different things.
Even so, I trust the traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps a new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all the focal points that don't make sense. Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it, your suggestion that we broaden the scope of our investigation is nothing but a tactic for stalling the trial.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, I believe that additional evidence may help us make more progress. Guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects of the deceased, Cowell.
Okay. There's a guard returns.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are water from the primordial sea. The primordial sea. The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice.
Okay.
The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times.
Uh-huh.
One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject.
Oh.
As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
Yep.
You've gotta be kidding! People dissolving into water?
could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy, but it's just a coincidence, isn't it?
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean... You two, with me, quick!
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partners?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order!
Ooh. Just don't say be sanctified.
It is undeniable that further examination of the deceased's personal effects has yielded some surprising results. But we cannot yet verify the veracity of these clues. Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Lyney, it appears your hypothesis is supported by the evidence, so please continue speaking.
Of course. Thank you, Your Honor. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Give me a second. I'll be right back. I gotta take care of something real quick.